And we're back in the room once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once more to the Caiman Show, the gift that keeps on giving. And today, believe you me, is no exception to that rule. In our midst, we have an absolute rock and roll legend, one of the original million sellers, hitting Elvis Presley off the #1 spot in the US charts in the 1950s, just as big over here in the UK, with fans who included such names as the Beatles and Graham Nash, to name but a few. Even got a video message on, I believe it was his 80th birthday, from Sir Paul McCartney. To this day, still going strong, still recording, still performing. Charlie Gracie, it is an honor. It is a pleasure. Welcome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Caiman. It's nice to be with you. It's nice to be talking to a fellow Welshman. I've spent so much time in Wales, I feel like I'm Welsh.
That's amazing. Yeah, we were talking a little bit just before we hit record. So you spent a bit of time in Penarth, Cardiff, and Newport, you said, yeah?
I usually make Newport my home base because I have a driver that lives there, and we always leave from Newport to wherever we have to go in the British Isles.
That's amazing. I could literally throw a stone at Newport from where I am. You know, it'd have to be a big throw, you know, but you know, I could probably just about reach it, though. It's just over the hill there, you know, so that's fantastic. What a small world.
Yes, it is. You know, I didn't realize how small it was until I started performing back in, you know, Europe in the late 50s.
Yeah.
And I've been to so many countries that feel like they're all my hometown. But I must say one thing about the British Isles. It's my favorite because there's no audience like a British audience.
Ah, that's fantastic. That's awesome to hear as well. So what's the difference, would you say, with us British audiences then?
Well, I say one thing: when you guys like somebody, you like them till they shut the lid.
Too right, yeah. Always thirsty for more as well, you know. Totally. It's yeah, we do. I suppose as Brits, I suppose as a nation, when we're into something, we're pretty much an all or nothing nation, you know.
You guys are tough. I know that. I'm on history nut, you know. And you fought that war alone for 2 years. Well, you 2 years will remember it. I lived through the Second World War.
Yeah.
And until we finally got in, you guys hold those jerrys off for 2 years by yourself. That was tough.
Fair play. Yeah, but then you guys came in and backed us up. Terrific allies as always. So
always,
forever. So Charlie.
Yeah.
Just a musical legend, all right? And it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. So firstly, if I may, I'd just like to ask you, how, where, when, why did you break into music? And also, how old were you when you got your first guitar? And talk us a little bit through the journey there.
Well, when I was 10 years old, my dad, who was a laborer, he worked in a hat factory called John B. Stetson Hat Company, very famous at the time. #1 hat maker in America.
Yeah.
Steaming hot water, horrible place to work. He worked there for 33 years. So one day we took a walk. He said, let's take a walk, Dad. He says, I just saved up 50. This is 1946, right after the war. I just saved up $15. I'm going to get a new suit. And they gave you 2 pair of pants with it in those days. So in case you burn the hole, you know.
All hot.
Yeah. So we're walking. We about 10 blocks from the home. There was a mill area that later became famous in the song, "Where Do All the Hippies Meet?" South Street, right? But when I was a kid, it was a mill area. After that, the shoe stores, shoe store, pawn shop. And I was the firstborn of 3 sons, you know. And as we're walking, he loved show business, my father, but his parents were immigrants who happened to be Sicilian. So it was pretty rough. But I learned the language. I was bilingual when I went to school because grandmom and grandpa didn't speak much English. To cut a long story short, every time we pass a pawn shop, he'd hesitate. Finally says, "You know what, Charlie, the heck with the suit. He said, pick an instrument out, make something of yourself. I don't want you to work like a donkey like I have all my life." I said, "Gee, Dad, what do you think?" He said, "Well, what do you want?" And I saw this nice shiny trumpet in the window. I said, "How about a nice trumpet?" Like Harry James was very famous at the time, you know. "Nah," he says, "you don't want that. You get a guitar to be a one-man band." That's how I became a musician.
Fantastic. So it was your father who basically got you your first guitar, and you took the reins from there. So how long did it take you to learn or to get a tune out of that guitar?
Well, he knew a few little chords. A buddy of his played the guitar around the neighborhood, and between the two of them, I started picking it up, you know?
Yeah.
He said to me, "Well, if you're going to be a guitar player, You get a teacher, you learn the right way, you become a good musician. I studied for 5 years with a great man named Anthony Pinto, fine guitarist, mandolinist. He taught me everything I knew. By the time I was 15, I was fairly accomplished, you know? And I mean, I got a long story, but I'm going to try to cut it as short as I can. So one day I was on a radio television show, a simulcast, television and radio, ABC affiliate out of Philadelphia. It took in like a tri-state area, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Jersey. I'd say about maybe 25, 30 million people would see these stations.
Hmm.
And driving in from New York was this chap who had a record label on Broadway called Cadillac Records, right?
Yeah.
Cut a long story short, he heard me performing on the show. We didn't have a telephone in the house, so he sent me a telegram the next morning saying he wanted to record me. Oh my God, I was just about ready to enter high school, 1952, you know? And I said, love to record for you. So I went into New York. I cut my first 2 songs there with a couple of great musicians. And I don't know if you ever heard the original recording of mine from Cadillac Records. There was not even a drum on the record. The guitar took the place of the drum.
In the original, yeah.
Yeah, you know. And I recorded, no big deal, you know. I started building my reputation in the neighborhood and city, working clubs and so on, trying to make a couple of bucks to help the family out, who were poor people, you know. I lived in a home with my grandmother and grandfather and my mother and father. Then my 2 brothers came along later. Now this is right in the middle of the Depression. It's going to sound silly, but most of the homes in those areas in those days did not have bathrooms or toilets. We had outhouses like farmers.
Yeah.
That's a tough way to grow up.
Yeah. There's a place in Merthyr Tydfil where I'm from called Troy Drew that used to have them frequently. They're gone now. They're all indoors now. But back in the day.
Yeah, well, for 10 years, I don't know what it was to take a bath in the tub because we didn't have a tub. But we moved 2 doors away. We had a bathroom and a bathtub. We thought we died and went to heaven.
Little things, right?
Yeah. So anyway, I'm recording with this guy for 2 or 3 years and building a little local reputation. And then as time went by, I went with another company, which was a Philadelphia-based company called 20th Century. Cut 4 or 5 sets. No big deal. Finally, in 1956, this chap came to me who used to play piano for Paul Whiteman. By the way, Paul Whiteman was a great name in the music industry. And he was quite a pianist, this guy. To play with Paul Whiteman, you had to be able to know how to play. So he came to my house and he said, I just borrowed $2,000 from my brother-in-law. He said, I'm going to start a record company called Cameo Records. I said, fine. What do you want to do? He said, let's go in the studio and cut a couple of tunes, see what happens. December of 1956, it was a cold, bitter cold night. Went into Center City, Philadelphia, went up the steps to the studio, Record Art Studios, and we cut our first 2 songs. One was Butterfly.
Yeah, Butterfly I was familiar with. I was going to ask you about Butterfly as well, but continue.
And 99 Ways. Anyway, we cut the tune. This is December of 56. By March of 1957, not only did we have a hit record, #1 hit. I couldn't believe it. Man.
Amazing. My
brothers are going to shit me. Get up, Charlie. It's time to go to school.
wakey, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a dream. Anyway, and the rest is history, of course. I performed the bandstand show out of Philadelphia. And then later on, a chap by the name of Dick Clark took it over, the American Bandstand. I did that show many a time. I did the Ed Sullivan show, the Paramount Theater in New York with Alan Freed, with all the guys my age, Eddie Cochran, the Everly Brothers, Bo Diddley, Chuck Berry. I mean, we all worked together. We were kids. You know, this was wonderful. And we got paid for it.
That's amazing. Hey, bonus, right? Absolute bonus. So how old were you being about then?
Well, by that time, I'm 19, 20, almost 21 years old. Not quite. Yeah. But I'm a seasoned performer. I'm ready for anything that's coming along. So to cut a long story short, once again, I had 4 or 5 top 20 records in America. I had more in Britain, not knowing that I had a British audience. So my agent said to me, Charlie, I'm going to book you in England. You know, I said, you got to be kidding me, England. I mean, I read about you guys in the history books. Anyways, I came over on the Mauritania. I came by ship.
Okay.
Time. 7 days, beautiful, man. You know, I was kind of scared when I first got on it, and it was on a boat that big.
I can imagine, yeah.
38,000 tons. Now it's a rowboat compared to today's boats.
Yeah.
When we landed in Southampton, and I was accompanied by Sir Lou and Leslie Grade, who were big impresarios at the time. Harold Davidson, who managed some of the great stars. I mean, I went to hoity-toity, South Philadelphia, you know. And I guess I couldn't keep my mouth shut. It was in awe of all the stuff. So anyway, now I got booked at the Hippodrome Theatre in London. and for a 2-week stint. And unbeknownst to me, there was a lady by the name of Dorothy Squires, who was a big star at the time, right? I don't know who she was. I never heard of her. But anyway, she protested the idea that I got top billing. So I got the newspapers calling me and the radio called. What do you think about this, Mr. Gracie? I said, listen, first of all, I don't know who she is. God bless her. I said, I never heard of her. I said, and besides, if I open the show, close the show, sing in the lobby, sing in the men's room, makes no difference to me. I'm happy to be here.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And it was an 8-week tour. They extended it 2 weeks, 7 days a week. All the Hippodrome theaters throughout the country, packed them in, 2 shows a day. And my God, it was like dining on to heaven. It was wonderful, just one. And you got to remember now, in those days, there was no modern electronics like there is today.
Yeah.
You sang and your voice came back from the back of the theater. There was no monitor system or anything. The mic came up to the stage. You couldn't even touch it. The union guy says, I'll adjust it for you. And I played with what they call a pit orchestra. It's a good thing I played the guitar because otherwise I'd get buried. I mean, they were great musicians, but they didn't have that feel for rock and roll, you see. But anyway, I got through it, and all the press was great. And the audience, they were just, and I went back again in 58. My wife, Joan, and I married, spent our honeymoon there, did the same tour again. Now, unbeknownst to me, as the years went by, I find out in the audiences were guys like Paul McCartney, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Morrison, Joe Cocker, Graham, and on, Peter Noon.
That's incredible. Was this before they were household names themselves then?
They were kids. I mean,
yeah.
Them, you know. So as the years went by, they became famous. Of course, they became famous when the money got big. I mean, if I got $1,000 a night, it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Out of that, I had to pay taxes in England, taxes in America, pay the Asian. I wound up at 10%. But what an experience. I mean, I was just thrilled to death. And then for years, and then I had a little problem with the record company. You know, the guy came to my house with nothing. He made $30-40 million. I'm still waiting to get paid.
Yeah. What was that? Was that with Cameo or?
Yeah, Cameo.
Yeah.
Cameo. But if I hit #1, you know, 3.5 million copies. So.
Well, that's it. You'd expect a little something at least, wouldn't you? You know?
A couple of quid, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. A couple of quid would be nice. Yeah, a couple of bucks.
Anyway, we settled out of court. I got X amount of dollars, and I got my mother and father and my kid brothers, got them out of the ghetto, with a lovely home in the suburbs.
Good man.
Yeah, I got that out of it. And my granddad, unfortunately, had passed on by then. But my grandmother saw me on the Ed Sullivan show. She just about spoke English. So the next day after the show, I went back into Philadelphia from New York. And I said, Grandma, how did I do? She said, don't get a big head. She just said, you were good or bad. She said, don't get a big head. But that put me right in my place.
That's it. Yeah. Sometimes you need to be level, though, Charlie, don't you? You know, and what better person than a grandmother to do the job, you know?
I mean, I miss them so much. They were great people. You know, poor immigrants that came to this country for a better life, and God bless them for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll drink to that. Cheers.
Cheers.
So after Cameo, you moved on with various other labels as well, obviously, and you continued to build up a loyal following, a loyal global following.
Yes.
Which you still enjoy to this day.
Yes.
Some of the places we shall mention, aside from USA and UK, was Germany, Austria, Switzerland, France, the Netherlands, many other places.
Italy.
Yeah, so you've got to feel pretty proud of this accomplishment and this global success, right?
Listen, I saw the world and they paid me for it, and I had to journey on either.
That's an absolutely amazing accomplishment. You know, it's seeing the world, getting paid for it, and doing what you love along the way. It's fantastic.
This is my 70th year in show business. Would you believe that?
Wow, that's amazing.
I don't know when the heck it went. I still feel like I'm like 40 or 50 years old, especially on stage. Got plenty of energy. I still enjoy playing. And I'm still learning on the guitar, believe it or not.
That's it. Hey, you never stop learning, right? That's what my wrestling coach told me as well. Don't get a big head for a start. Yeah, there's that piece of advice that we share. And also, you never stop learning, which is fair enough. 2 sound pieces of advice, yeah.
Well, then it's great to be on shows like yours to be able to express the years that I've. By the way, I have a book out. You know that. Excellent.
I know that. Yeah. Do you want to tell us about that?
Well, the title was given to me by a friend of ours who was a Roman Catholic priest, He said, Charlie, I got the title for your book. I said, what is it? It's called Rock and Roll's Hidden Giant. I said, that's a great title. Thank you.
That's perfect. Thank you very much.
The whole career's been hidden.
Not anymore. We're putting it out there now. We're working on it. We're getting it out there.
Well, listen, let me say this here. In all honesty, before we get any further, it's been a great life. I got a wonderful wife. My wife and I have been married for 63 years. I have a lovely son, a lovely daughter, a lovely home. I mean, I never became a multimillionaire like some of the other guys. We got to remember, we were pioneers. My God, when we played the New York Paramount Theater, there were like 10 acts on the show. We all made $300 or $400 a piece, if that, you know. But just to be there playing in front of the kids, your own age, you know, we were kids too.
Yeah.
See,
that's amazing.
Wonderful. Yeah.
But so going back to the book quickly, where can we get the book? Where can people pick it up? What can people expect from it?
You can get books there. Amazon, yeah.
Yeah, Amazon, excellent stuff. So Rock and Roll's Hidden Giant, guys, it's available on Amazon for those watching, for those listening. Check it out. Going back to what you were just saying, basically you paved the way for a lot of musicians yourself as well, worldwide as well. There was obviously the Beatles. So they were very complimentary of you, particularly George. He's there's a comment I was reading a little while ago about George Harrison commenting on your guitaring. Do you want to speak of that? You're obviously aware of that, yeah?
Well, I was honored by that, and unfortunately, I never met George Harrison.
Oh, did you not? No.
No, never met him. Only one I ever met at the Beatles was Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
But I toured with Van Morrison. My God, who was more famous than Van Morrison?
Yeah, amazing.
I met him in Newport, as a matter of fact.
Really? Oh, wow, that's amazing. Just up the road.
Yeah, I'm staying at the hotel I was telling you about.
The Kings, was it? Yeah.
Yeah. And the owner was friendly with me. We were pals. And my wife and I sitting there having a little cup of tea, because I was always a tea drinker.
Yeah. Good man. Oh, you fit in like a glove.
And I see this young chap like looking through like the plants and staring at me. So I said to the guy, who's that guy? Does he work here? I thought he was, I said, help me get, I thought he was like the janitor.
Yeah.
Oh, he says he's a famous singer. His name is Van Morrison. Well, I was a young, I never heard of Van Morrison. My kids knew it. I said, well, tell him to come over. He said, oh, he's very bashful. He'll come down later. Anyway, later we met till 4 o'clock in the morning. He's picking my brains about the 50s. You know, they all came to see me when I was there. Of course, I was the catch me. I was only the second American to bring rock and roll to Britain. Bill Haley preceded me.
Right. Okay.
But he had his own band. I went up alone. I was like shark bait, all alone in the pit, you know, my big guitar, and the band's down in the pit. That's a tough way to play rock and roll.
Definitely.
But it was successful. That was very good. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. What were your thoughts on Van Morrison?
Well, Van's a funny guy.
Yeah, he's known to be a grumpy old Irishman, and I quote, you know, would you back that up?
Well, you said that, I didn't.
Someone told me it, honest, it weren't me.
Well, let me say this here. A lot of people had problems with him, but he must have liked me for some reason, because we always got along well. He treated me swell. I mean, everything was paid for: hotels, planes, food. I mean, I couldn't ask for it. And when I called the guys in the band, I said, guess what? When he said to me, Charlie, I want you to open a show for me out on the West Coast. I said, okay, fine. I'll just do a couple of numbers. No, I said, I don't bring your own band. He said, you'll burn my band out. You play heavier rock than I do. When I told the guys that we got booked over there, they almost died. They were so tickled to death, you know. It was a great time. And then when we worked in Tahoe, Vegas, when we worked in Los Angeles, all the movie stars were there. Jack Nicholson, coming to watch us.
That's amazing.
I'll tell you.
Yeah,
some experiences you were
brilliant. Could you like pick them out from the crowd as well then, or did you find out later? You know,
they were in the front. I couldn't help but see them.
That's it. Yeah, whether you like it or not, then yeah.
That VIP seating, you know. And after the show, Angelica Houston, I remember, she came backstage and said, "You guys were great." I said, "Thank you," and then she left. That was it.
Awesome. That's a nice compliment, though. You know, from from a high-profile person like that as well. It's great.
I didn't talk to Jack Nicholson. He must have left because they're like for the crowd, you know. But I mean, those people were in the audience. It's great.
That's awesome. That's fantastic stuff. What a proud moment, you know.
Yeah. Well, my whole life's been a proud moment, because I never thought I would amount to anything. It was, you know, I'm a firm believer in destiny.
Yeah,
What
me too.
are you? Well, then we think alike because your life's already mapped out. Of course, you could do things to screw it up too. But
Oh yeah, totally. Oh, and I've done a few in the past. Don't get me wrong, but I've spun it back round now.
well, we all make mistakes, but I mean to say to me, and listen, I just turned 85 years old. You gotta be kidding me, man.
You never think it though, you know.
Where the hell did it go at?
I
I
know.
still feel like I'm 40 years old. I don't feel like I'm old. And people look at me, and I'm not saying this out of ego, but the Gracies never show their age. They think I'm like 65, 66.
That's it. Yeah, you definitely don't look 85, 100%.
Well,
I'm not just saying that to inflate your ego either. All right, you
I
do
never
not.
lie about my age, only my height. I'm 6'2".
I can hear some laughter in the background there as well. That's got to be a lie.
5'5". I'm trying to do that, you know what I mean?
I'm 6 foot. I'm 6'7" when I go to the wrestling ring. I add an inch. I am actually 6'6" though.
You look like a tough guy to me.
I'm tough when I want to be. Like I said on the air, you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right? Great stuff. So talking of pride and proud moments, if you could pick one, just define one, what would you say in your whole career would be your proudest moment, or one of your proudest moments?
It's so difficult. Honest to God, it's difficult to pick one. There's two or three that are outstanding. Of course, when I did the Ed Sullivan show, that was a pinnacle in America. I was on with people I used to pay 10 cents to go see in the movies. Henry Fonda, Don Amici, the great Wilt Chamberlain, the basketball star from that era, Ben Blue. I mean, you got to be kidding. I used to go see these guys for 10 cents when I was a kid, and I won the show with them.
That's amazing.
That's one of the outstanding ones. And of course, when I did the London Palladium, well, I mean, I once again, I thought I was going to say, "Get up, Charlie, it's time to go." Whoever thought I'd be playing the London? You got to be kidding me!
Yeah,
you even let me in there. And you know who was my backup artist, backup singer? Shirley Bassey was just starting to come.
Oh, really? Wow, a fellow Welsh lady, look.
Yeah, in other words, I'm connected with the Welsh.
Yeah, you are. There's a definite connection, man. Well, next time you're over, you'll have to come round for tea. Give me a shout, all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Top man, I'll do you a good brew.
Well, a cup of tea and some fish and chips.
Now you're talking. Now you are talking.
I love it.
100%. That's great stuff. Well, what's next then for Charlie Gracie? What can you do that you haven't already done?
Well, I'm still performing. As a matter of fact, what's the day? Tuesday? I had a gig. I had an outdoor gig Sunday. We had about 500 or 600 people. A little local thing, was nice. But I still do 20, 25, 30 dates a year.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I was supposed to be in England last year and Switzerland, but they were both canceled because of the COVID.
Yeah, that's it. That ruined a lot of things, didn't it?
And I was supposed to be in England this November once again, up in Norfolk.
All right, okay.
And that got canceled too. So, what are you going to do? We're all in the same boat. It was tough. I mean, I love coming to Europe because it's something about, your hometown is one thing, but everybody knows you. You grew up there. Hey, Charlie, how you doing, pal? One of those things. But these are strangers. The same people that came to see me in 1957 still come to see me, the ones that are still alive. Well, you got to remember.
Fair play.
Some of them are walkers, some are wheelchairs, but still come see me.
Yeah, it's all good, man. That's respect,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, listen, I want to tell you something. I love you guys. You guys, I hate to keep saying this, you might think I was browning you, but I mean it from my heart, sincerely,
Likewise. Well, it's a two-way street, my friend. Absolutely. It's great. Fantastic. But so is there a date for the UK to be rescheduled for you to come over, or is that something we're going to look at after this COVID?
I'm waiting for a reschedule, and they want me in Switzerland in next June again.
Excellent.
And of course, my new record that came out a little while ago is doing very well. Can't Stop Rocking.
Excellent.
Still recording me at my age. Would you believe that?
Hey, it is just a number after all. It is just a number.
Yeah, you're right.
It's nothing changes overnight. Everyone was saying to me when I was going to turn 40, "Oh, are you worried? Are you worried?" I'm like, "No, I'm not worried. I'll go to bed 39, I'll wake up 40, and I'll feel exactly the same as I did the night before."
You want to wake up 60 and 70 and 80 too.
Yeah, numbers, that's all. Let's stay young forever, Charlie.
Well, the thing is this. I've done this all my life. What am I going to start selling used cars at this point? This is what I do. You hire. Listen, I played places that you'd be scared to death to walk into.
I
And
can
I
imagine.
won them over, and by the time I got done, they were carrying me out. You got to know how to win an audience, man. You know?
That's it. Yeah.
You
That's,
got to be little Charlie Gracie from South Philadelphia, and everybody.
that's the way. Gain the love, innit? Gain the love.
Yeah.
So, in a few words, then, Charlie, before we wrap up,
Yeah.
in closing, just sum up for us your magnificent journey, then, in just a few words, if you could.
Well, as I went through this little portion of my life, it's a long story, but it's been a joy. It's been a blessing. I've met so many wonderful, wonderful people in my life, off and on the stage. But to me, the audience is everything. Because without them, you're nobody. You sit and sing to yourself, and if the audience loves you and you're unique, you're bringing something different to them, they remember it, and they know talent when they say it. I'll say that for them. And it became a steady job. What can I tell you? It's better than going to work in a factory.
Oh, definitely. Been there. Fantastic. Well, any plugs, shout outs, acknowledgements before we do let you go, Charlie?
Well, just let me say thank you very much for having me on your show. You're a heck of a nice guy. I hope we get a chance to meet in person. And
Definitely have a cup of tea.
yes, and we'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Maryland, 1944.
Yeah, probably just outside Newport, someplace, Merthyr Tydfil.
Yeah. Well,
Pop in the spoons.
you'll have a pint on me, and we'll have some fish and chips on me too.
You're a gentleman and a scholar. I very much look forward to that. Definitely make that happen. Charlie Gracie, thank you so much for coming on. It has been a genuine pleasure. Keep doing what you're doing.
And as they say in Wales, yaki da.
Yaki da. Absolutely awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, living legend of rock and roll, Charlie Gracie on the Cayman Show. Woohoo!